I have been looking forward to this day for months. It's official. The heights of some of the hottest books in the world have officially been reached this past week.
And even though we've seen the ceiling on two of the most important mutant key issues, did they underperform? Stay tuned. That's coming up later in the video. We cover the Hot 10, the hottest comic books that sold during this past week. We look for top performers and record breakers, and let's get into number 10.
Number 10 on the list is Detective Comics 359 from 1967. This is the first appearance of Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. And what a classic, always relevant key to be purchased, and I suspect it's because not only is she a member of the Bat family, this is a first appearance in the Silver Age of a DC character, and there's not a whole lot of them from the Silver Age.
Yeah, many of the DC characters first appeared in the Golden Age, so you'll have like the first Golden Age appearance, and then you'll have to settle for the first Silver Age appearance, but this is the first appearance of Batgirl, period. And I always put it up there with like Marvel key issues. When Marvel is super popular and that's all you see, this book tends to pop up, and this list is no exception.
The 4.0 is up 9%, the 5.0 is up 13%, marking a year-high sales selling for $680. The 5.5 is up 1%, selling for $700. The 6.0 is up 4%, and the 6.5 is up 2%, selling for $1,050. The percentage increase when you compare it to the recent 12-month average is within like 5 to 10% across all these grades. But collectors have spent over $3,500 in these sales alone. It's got to be because of James Gunn and the spec on the Bat family, but we only know about Damian Wayne so far. But Batgirl seems inevitable.
Yeah, if you're doing a movie about the Bat family, you have to have Barbara Gordon. And we almost did get a Batgirl movie, which was actually created and shelved.
That's right, they ditched it because apparently it sucked. But I also suggest that there may be some price correction incoming. Take a look at these numbers. 9.6. There's only 15 copies that exist, and there's one new one since we chatted about this book last, which was August of 2023. The record high sale was set in September 2022. 9.6 sold for $78,000. There are only 4 9.8s on the census. If we get any inclination that there's going to be a Batgirl appearance in the James Gunn universe, which there probably will be, I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of the 4 copies, or if CGC just finds an extra copy and it becomes 5 or 6 total on the census. The last time a 9.8 sold was back in 2014, and it went for a lonely $18,250. Imagine if a 9.8 comes out. It's going to break 6 figures, and what that will do to the lower grades.
Yeah, somebody better consider cracking one of those 9.4s or 9.6s. As we move on to number 9 on the list, we've got more Johnny Blaze goodness, but this time it's his first appearance in Marvel Spotlight 5.
Do yourself a solid and download the best comic app in existence. It's called Key Collector Comics. I used to have to sit on my couch with the freaking Overstreet page by page to memorize key books, to learn about pricing and Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Modern Age books. No more. You can just use an app. It's all condensed and organized for you, and it's free. But if you use the code Tom101, you unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app in its entirety, and you get access to lists like this one, the Hot 10, the Trending 20, and so many other categories. It's going to keep you very savvy on the hunt, and you support the show.
Ghost Rider number 1 made the Hot 10 last week, and we suspect it had to do with rumors that Ryan Gosling was going to portray Ghost Rider live on screen. That has not been confirmed. There is no new news, but it looks like collectors are picking up his first appearance just in case. A CGC 2.0 is up 18% over its 12-month average. The 4.0 holding steady, selling for $800. The 5.0 had a year-high sale coming in at $950, which is a 2% increase. The 5.5 is up 7%, and the 8.0 had 2 copies outperform its 12-month average, the highest coming in at $25.50 for a 4% increase.
In comic news, we have Ghost Rider Final Vengeance number 5 coming out this week, promising a confrontation between the current Ghost Rider, the Hood, and Johnny Blaze. Are you reading this comic? Let me know in the comment section below. And also, do you think that the MCU has been saving this character because they know it will come out the gates with a huge bang? I mean, how did they put the Eternals on the screen before we got Johnny Blaze?
Moving on to number 8 on the list, what does X-Men 97 have to do with Daredevil? We'll tell you in a moment. We have Amazing Spider-Man issue 51 making the list. It's the second appearance of the Kingpin and his first cover appearance.
The 3.0 is up 43%. You can get that for $167. The 4.5 didn't even keep up this week and sold for $135, and that's an increase of 9%, and that's a year-high sale, and the numbers have just begun. The 5.0 is up 1%, 7.0 15%, 8.0 3%, 8.5 27%. Someone spent $2,850 on a 9.4, and that is a 6% increase, and it's got to be because of Vincent D'Onofrio. It's got to be because of classic ASM. This is an awesome key, but also Daredevil Born Again just got a suggested premiere date of 2025.
March of 2025, and that's coming from the official Marvel podcast. And here's what they had to say about Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil is incredible. It's similar in some ways to X-Men 97 because it's reviving something that the fans love, but it's taking it in a new direction. These characters have matured. The universe is different than it was. Things have changed. Society's changed. Matt and Wilson have changed, and their characters are going to collide in ways that we've never seen before. It's no longer enough to try to murder each other. There's a whole new game of politics at play.
Comparing Daredevil Born Again to X-Men 97 as it pertains to what happened, the massive resurgence in love for the mutants, is them essentially saying they were surprised by how much it was embraced by the collectors and community. I think this right here is them stating that we are going to be reintroduced to the same feeling we had when watching the superhero Netflix shows back in the day, which were excellent.
Remember when I told you guys that we've hit the ceiling, the highest sold copies for two very important mutant keys? Well, this ain't it. We have the floor on this one. We're talking Iron Fist issue 14, the first appearance of Sabretooth. It's coming in at number 7, and I'm surprised it didn't make the list last week after we got almost the whole fight between Sabretooth and Wolverine.
That's true. Tyler Mane kept this under wraps, the actor who portrayed Sabretooth in the original X-Men movies, and he is donning that wig. The dude's bald. Looks great in that wig. It goes up against Wolverine, and we kind of know what's going to happen, but let's take a look at the numbers, because you're right, Jem. The floor has been reached on the lowest graded copy this week.
We got a CGC 0.5. It's incomplete, it's missing the centerfold, and it set a record selling for $200. And you would think that's the entry-level price. That's the lowest that you can pay to get in on the first appearance of Sabretooth, but you'd be wrong. The CGC 3.5 sold for $190, which is 13% above its 12-month average. The 7.5 is up 12%. The 8.5 is up 6%. The 9.2 sold for $850, which is a 23% increase. And we have a year-high sale on the CGC 9.6, which sold for $1,728, 43% above average. But why did somebody pay so much for that 0.5?
We can hypothesize why some members would pay more money for a lower graded book, but Eye Appeal could be all that it takes for a member to want to buy this book. This could be a gorgeous 9.0 plus looking comic. I don't have pictures of it. And you're comparing that to a 3.5 that looks rather low grade at first glance. It makes sense to me. However, that 9.6 seems like someone way overpaid, or they're hoping to crack it and press it to go for that 9.8, because that 9.6 has been going for around $1,200 all year. Why a near $1,800 purchase?
Yeah, I think you're right, Tom. That could have been the play because the last GPA sale on the CGC 9.6 was back to $1,260.
We've seen an increase of 100% in copies sold on this book, and there are so many different characters to spec on, to get excited about as it pertains to Deadpool Wolverine. And I think because this is a Bronze Age book that's beloved, that's a essential key for mutant collections, but as well as Wolverine collections, that this book's getting the love that was long overdue.
Yeah, not only do we know we're going to get Sabretooth live on screen in Deadpool and Wolverine, there is also a lot of potential in X-Men 97 Season 2. Speaking of which, number 6 on the list, we've got the first appearance of Cable in New Mutants 87.
Peep Key Collector, for all the sales, we're going to hit you with some of the higher ones. The 9.4, 3 different copies outsold the recent 12-month average, the highest being for 180. Shout out Logan for an increase of 22%. The 9.6 had 4 different copies outsell the recent 12-month average, the highest being for 275, an increase of 35%. The 9.8 sold for 525, an increase of 13%. This book could have been purchased for under $500 all year long. Some people are choosing to pull the trigger now, probably because of Deadpool Wolverine, hoping to see a reprisal of Josh Brolin as Cable, even though we have no concrete news that that's going to happen. And then we have a newsstand 9.8 selling for $1,350. That's an increase of 25%, where that book hovered around the $1,000 marker all year long.
Now, we haven't talked about this book in about a month. Since May, there have been 88 more slabs added to the census since then, which includes 20 more 9.8s. Now, there are rumors of Giancarlo Esposito, you know him as Gus from Breaking Bad or Moff Gideon from Star Wars, rumored to play a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, George Washington Bridge, who is a known antagonist of Cable.
Who this actor was going to play has been a mystery. Hearing rumors that he's going to be George Washington Bridge is exciting. It's kind of a random S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and the connection to Cable has me very excited. But this actor mentioned on panel that he would also be incorporated to some type of show on Disney+. And I just don't see where this character is going to fit in unless there's an unannounced show. I mean, we got the Vision Quest coming, Agatha All Along, or whatever they're calling that show now. You also got Riri. I don't really see him fitting in there. And then you got Wonder Man. I mean, what do you think, Jem? Are they holding something back?
Well, we already know he's going to be in Captain America Brave New World. We just don't know which character for sure. Now, this rumor kind of makes sense for that movie. I don't think they're going to go that route with the MCU right away, dealing with Bishop and Cable and all that futuristic stuff.
Even though they probably should.
And let's move on to number 5 on the list. No movie news. We've got Conan the Barbarian, issue 1.
I want to send you comics every single month. Support the show directly, and we'll make that happen. We take back issues, prints, minor keys, major keys, sending them out at random. But guaranteed in every box are 2 of these brand new exclusives that I made for the community. The first, Boys number 1. The first appearance of the Boys, Huey, Billy Butcher, A-Train, Johnny Desjardins' Homelander Virgin variant going out to every single member. And that's not all. I have an Ultimate X-Men Trinity Comics, Peach Momoko, Ultimate X-Men number 4 going out to every single member. ComicTom101.com to join the community, support what we do directly, and let's talk about Conan the Barbarian. Keep in mind, San Diego Comic-Con is weeks away, and that's when the original Red Sonja trailer premiered, and we have yet to see that yet.
It's going to be the 1-year anniversary from the private screening of a trailer. I don't think that's why people are buying this book. I think the reason that people are buying this book is the same as the next number on the list, which we'll get to in just a moment. But we have a ton of sales. They're all performing highly above their 12-month average with no real reason. The 4.0 up 20%. The 5.5 is up 13%. The 6.0 had a year-high sale coming in at $379 for a 25% increase. These are all double-digit percentage increases. The 6.5 is up 15%. The 7.0 is up 10%. The 8.5 is up 17%. And the 9.0 clocked a sale at $950 for a 21% increase. Now, Tom, why are these books selling so aggressively?
Consider this, a Conan 1 out of 9.8 really peaked at just above $8,000. There's some outlier sales, but we kind of like put those aside and look at the real highs. $8,000 is really where this book landed. And we're in an adjustment period. A lot of books have taken some giant hits, 50, 75% off kind of hits in the last year. And this book, this year, sold for $7,800. So damn close to the real highs for no reason. This is one of the safest books that is a repeat offender, and we've said multiple times, this is a book that doesn't really need outside media to push it up. I think people are seeing the prices, and they know Conan long-term is too monumental of a key to pass up.
Conan has such a cult following. Many of you guys grew up with the movies. I mean, I would love to see an old man Arnold Conan. That would be a great movie. The book is hot, and it's selling for more than it's been selling for the 12-month average. And like Tom pointed out, it's not really that much down from its heights during the comic boom.
Which makes me wonder what's going on with number 4 on the list, Star Wars number 1. The first appearance of pretty much everybody worth noting, and a plethora of sales happening at a time that critics are hammering The Acolyte, the current ongoing series on Disney+. People seemingly getting out of an investment at a time that 9.6s are going for like around $1,000, and it's one of the most important Bronze Age comics and sci-fi memorabilia of all time.
Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes audience score was something super low, like 13 or 14%, to the point where they removed the audience score completely. And the show has a super high budget. For the 8 episodes, it cost $180 million. That's $22.5 million per episode. Compare that to some other seasons with similar budgets. You have Game of Thrones Season 8. That final 6-episode season ran for $90 million. So that was just $15 million per episode. Secret Invasion also had 6 episodes. $212 million was the budget. That's $35.3 million per episode. And then you got The Boys Season 1. 8 episodes for $90 million for only $11.2 million per episode.
There wasn't a whole lot of love for the final season of Game of Thrones. And Secret Invasion was kind of trash. And coming far underneath both of those budgets was The Boys Season 1. I'm getting some Godzilla -1 vibes. You don't need a ton of money to make something quality. It's just gotta be good. And take a look at these numbers, because if people are dumping their Star Wars books, you would expect the numbers to be trending down. But there are so many Star Wars fans picking it up that the book is still holding strong, possibly because it's hit the near floor. Let us know what you think while we hit you with the numbers. The 7.0 is up 2%, 7.5, 6%. 8.0 is selling about average. The 8.5 sold for $381, up 32%. The 9.0 is up 2%, the 9.2, 11%, the 9.4, 7%. And the 9.6, as mentioned, you can get for $1,000, where it was selling under $1,000 all year long for an increase of 10%.
So the 9.6 is above average, but the 9.8 is down. Its 12-month average is $3,561, but the last GPA sale came in at $3,277. People could be dumping this book, but they're selling for more than their 12-month average, except for that 9.8.
Are you hunting for a Star Wars 1, considering these market conditions? Help your fellow Comic Man members in the comment section below while we chat about number 3 on the list with New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool. And damn it, Jem, I think I was right, or at least about to be right.
Yeah, we've seen sales as high as $1,700 for that book, and we said that was way too high. The last GPA sale came in at just $1,059. Is this going to settle back down to be a $750 book and 9.8 like it did the first 2 times it cooled down?
Comic Fam, we told you that although the hype is real and these are some of the most wanted books in the market, stay tuned. We have a plethora of sales to get through. However, I mentioned that this could be a sub-$1,000 book soon, but it's not because of overall hype being diminished as we get closer to the movie. On the contrary, this is one of the hottest books in the world. Number 3 on the list right now. But the thing you have to consider is the CGC census count. In the last 2 weeks, there's been an increase of 25 copies in 9.8 alone that have been added to the census. That is a couple new 9.8s a day on a book that you have to spend over $1,000 to secure.
It's crazy to me that a book from 1991 still has raw copies being flooded into CGC, 25 more of them being a 9.8. Now, it could be that people are cracking 9.6s, getting a grade bump, but there were 32 new 9.6s added to the census as well. I get that it was mass-produced, but it still just blows my mind. The CGC 9.2 sold for a 17% increase this week. 6 copies outperformed the 12-month average. The newsstand 9.2 was up 12%. There were 5 direct market 9.4s that outperformed its average, the highest coming in at $550 for a 30% increase. And then we had 9 9.6s outperform the 12-month average, the highest breaking 9% on that. And lastly, the newsstand 9.6 sold for $925 for a 33% increase.
Remember when we told you about Mutant Keys hitting the ceiling this week? Well, this one wasn't one of them. But a 2.5 sold for the first time ever, marking its first recorded sale, selling for $150. Which brings us to number 2 on the list, with the heights being reached on one of the hottest books in the world. Wolverine #1, the first solo series. We have a 10.0 to discuss.
We reported on it when the new 9.9s and that 10.0 hit the census, and we finally got a sale. So we now know the ceiling, the most expensive version of this book. But let's take a look at this week's sales before we get into it. We got an 8.5 up 7%. The 9.0 is up 12%. The 9.2 sold for $190. That's a 15% increase. The 9.4 is up 11%. The newsstand 9.4 hit its year high sale, coming in at $361. That's a 49% increase over its 12-month average. The newsstand 9.6 is up 6%, and the direct market 9.6 is up 15%. And now we have that Gem Mint 10. We haven't seen a sale since back in 2009 when it sold for $15,535. Well, we have a new record breaker. It's up 74%, and it sold for $27,000.
I got to hear from the community in the comment section below. Did this 10.0 underperform? And if it did, do you think it's because of the increase in census count? That's my suspicion. I think this book could have been a plus $30,000 book had there not been a flood of 9.9s and 10.0s, because there was one new one that emerged in the last couple months. There was only 3 prior to the CGC increase that we just stated. The 10.0 record was just above $15,000 when it sold just over 4 years ago. The last 9.9 sale happened in January, and it sold for $15,600. Pretty similar to that record 10.0. However, a little over a year ago, A 9.9 hit $23,500. The book dropped immensely because of the increase of 9.9s. And now we see a 10.0 sell for under $30,000. Is CGC to blame?
Yeah, we speculated on what was going to happen when we reported on the increase in census count on the 9.9s and the Gem Mint 10. You have the heights of the 9.9 coming in at $23,500 and that CGC 10 just $3,500 more than that. The last GPA sale on the 9.9 just 15 grand. So what's going to happen the next time a 9.9 hits market? Then take a look at the 9.6s. There are 11 less on the census since we last reported, almost like somebody's trying to crack, press, and do a 9.9 pre-screen on those.
Hit the like and subscribe. We've been covering the hottest books in the marketplace every single week without skipping a beat for over 4 years straight. And the #1 hottest book in the world, courtesy of the first ever 9.9 emerging in 2024 and selling that same year. This year, we have Giant Size X-Men, issue #1, the first appearance of the new team.
X-Men 97 hype. We've got the X-Men coming out in the MCU. A lot of reasons to speculate on this book here. And with that 9.9 record setter, we're probably going to see some trickle down, even though it may have underperformed. This week's sales show us a 1.8 selling for $1,200. That's 28% above its 12-month average. The 2.0 is up 20%. The 5.0 is up 8%. The 6.5 and 7.5 are both holding steady, both increasing about 1% over the 12-month averages. The 8.0, same thing. The 8.5 is up 3%. And the 9.0 had a year-high sale, coming in at $5,399 for a 17% increase.
Before we hit you with the 9.9, I want to hear the community's thoughts in the comment section below. Assessing the value of the only book in existence, and we're talking above a 6-figure sale, is rather difficult. I'm not buying 6-figure books. I don't know many people who are. However, I do think the person who did buy this is going to be happy, very happy, in the long term, assuming it was an investment. Because look at the 9.8. The heights a 9.8 white pager reached was back during the comic boom, 2021, and it sold for $72,000. We have seen less giant-size X-Men #1s graded at 9.8 sell in the last year than we have in the last 5 years because the book has dropped so significantly. The last 9.8 sale was for $24,000, which brings us to the only 9.9 in existence. And it sold for $170,000.
$100,000 more than what the heights of a CGC 9.8 went for and still underperformed. Many thought this would have gone for $250,000, but honestly, I'm not surprised. With the controversy surrounding this book, was it even a true 9.9? How did it just so happen to appear when CGC started offering pre-screens on 9.9s?
This book was graded just this past March 14th to be exact. This book came out in 1975. Why do you think this book underperformed? If you think it did, I personally thought it would be over $200,000. However, I may be wrong. Let us know in the comment section below. Do you think it's because of a growing distrust with CGC? Or do you think that books being graded en masse the way they are giving us the real value of comic books because it's eliminating the scarcity variable? Let us know. And as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said.